Hello, and welcome to this video on how to remove artificial nails with minimal damage to your natural nails. So a little while ago, I uploaded a video on how to apply artificial nails with minimal damage and also to make them look good and last a long time, and I did these nails over here for you. So those are still going strong. It's only been about a week. So I'm going to leave those on, but these have had on for a little longer. I would say maybe a week and a half. And again, I mentioned in the other video that you could definitely get 2 or more weeks wear out of a set of these fake nails if you do it properly. So like I did over here, but on this hand I knew I would want to change them up because I get bored easily. So I didn't quite do everything I usually do. I used a weaker glue, I didn't file them, stuff like that. And I talk much more about those sorts of things that affect the longevity of your nails in that other video, so check that out if you haven't seen it yet. But yeah, so these nails, I intentionally made them not last as long, and I think I'm ready to take them off. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. So my first word of advice, I guess, for keeping these fake nails from damaging your natural nails is going to do with this guy here. So you can see it's pretty much all the way lifted off. This morning it was just like slightly coming at the corner, but now it's almost all the way off. So with that, that tells me, okay, it's time to take those off, because where fake nails are going to damage your natural nail isn't actually anything to do with the products most of the time. They can be a little drying and things like that, but it's going to be when they are pulled off, when the glue is like forcibly removed from your actual nail. So with this one, I can tell it's falling off, and that's all fine and good, but since they're getting to that point where that glue bond is weakening, I know that it's much more likely for, like, say this nail to get ripped off, and that's when you're actually going to have the glue taking up little bits of your nail, and that's what we don't want. So we really want to try to avoid that. So my first tip is, as soon as they start coming off, it's time to take them off. That's also going to be a word of advice for people who are worried about their nails falling off at awkward times, is that once they start falling off, they're all going to start falling off. So go ahead and just take them off yourself and start fresh with a new set. So without further ado, I'll show you how to actually do that. So my first step to pretty much anything I do to my nails is to start with some nail oil or cuticle oil. You can use whatever you prefer. I have a very complicated mixture that someday I'll make a video about, but coconut oil, even just hand lotion is good if you don't have anything. You don't need some fancy brand name cuticle oil or anything, but yeah, I do this all the time. I just sort of do it throughout the day to help with the strength and the flexibility of my nails, but I definitely want to do it right now because acetone or nail polish remover, whatever you're using, can be very drying, so it's nice to start off a step ahead with some moisture in your nails, and I will keep doing this throughout the process, which I'll show a little bit later. Also, I find these little pen things really helpful. You can buy empty ones and then just fill them with whatever you want. I think it's really helpful to have that little brush on the end so you can really see as I'm doing, really get around that cuticle and even get under the nail as well. I'll put a link for those as well as all the other products I use in this video in the description so you can check them out. So it's totally up to you what you want to use to remove your fake nails. You can use pure acetone like this. I do that sometimes. You can get these big tubs of it at Sally's, but I think today I'm going to use this one. It's a nail polish remover, but it's specifically made for fake nails and nail glue. It also works on gel nails and stuff like that. It's not quite as harsh as pure acetone, so I tend to opt for that. Unless I'm in a hurry, acetone can work a little faster, but I'm going to use this today. So you are going to want to use a glass or a metal bowl. Anything else in the acetone will eat it. I have made that mistake. So I'm just going to fill that up with some of my nail polish remover here. You've probably seen the technique with the foil wraps. If you want to do that, that's totally fine. I find that it doesn't work very well for me because I can never get enough cotton in there for it to actually really desaturate it. So this is why I like this way, and then I can actually see when the nails are coming off, which I'll talk about a little bit more, why that's important. And so you definitely want to make sure you have just enough liquid to cover your full nail. You don't want just the tip sticking in, but also there's no reason to douse your whole finger in acetone since it is so drying, so no need to get it everywhere. So yeah, so tip number 2 here is to really soak them off. You don't want to loosen them and then pull them off, because like I mentioned, that's when the damage is actually going to happen to your nail bed. Like this one here, it's loose enough that I totally could just rip it off, but I'd be worried about damaging the nail or the cuticle where it's still glued on pretty tightly. Oh my god, you can see how dry my skin's getting already. We'll fix that. But yeah, I'll talk about this a little more as it happens, but you really want to make sure you're waiting until they're ready to go. And so this will take a while, so I'm going to fast forward through most of the footage, but I'll stop and talk about a few things as I go along. Alright, so you can see this is the one that was really loose to begin with. It's pretty much fully coming off. I'm going to push it a little bit just because the glue is a little gloppy, but that pretty much fell right off. I hope you could see that. So I am going to clean it up a little bit because there's still going to be some glue. I don't think the camera's going to be good enough to pick it up, but there's going to be some glue still on the nail. So I'm going to dip something, doesn't really matter what, a piece of cotton or something, in the acetone, and then try and rub that off a little bit. And I will end up having to put it back in the acetone for a little bit just to really get the rest of that off. But first, I'm going to go in with that nail oil now that I can actually get to my nail plate itself, and add some more hydration back in there before it goes back in the acetone. And again, remember, you don't want to be doing any scraping, even with that last little bit of glue. I'm just very gently rubbing it to see if I got it all off, and the answer is no, so I'm going to put it back in for a bit. Go ahead and take them out of the acetone when you can. So again, this one was already pretty loose, so I'm just going to take a little bit more acetone and rub that last little bit of nail glue off, but it's doing pretty well. So after this, I'm going to go ahead and take that finger out of the acetone and just wait for the rest of them to fall off. More nail oil is also always good. So now you get to observe your beautiful nails turn into grossness as the acetone kind of eats away at them. And I'm looking here, so this thumb is getting loose, and this is exactly when you don't want to pull it off yourself, because you can see it's lifting a little bit at the cuticle there, so when I push down on the tip it'll come up a little bit, but most of that nail is still glued on, so I'm not going to pull it off. So now you can see when I push on the end, it's all loose, and when I say push, I mean very, very lightly. I'm not really using any force there, but it's gonna pop off. And now you'll see that this is kind of all gross and gunky since it wasn't already loose like that first nail. It's gonna have a lot more nail glue gunk left over, so we're definitely gonna be scrubbing that down and putting it back in the acetone for a little longer. So I'm going to check the rest of these, and if you've actually made it this far in this video, lucky you, you're going to get my beautiful metaphor of when to take these off. So with avocados, one of the ways to tell if they're ripe is if the little stem part comes out easily. So it's kind of like a catch-22, because you want to pull hard enough to see if it'll come out easily, but you don't want to pull too hard, because of course you're going to be able to force it out. So it's the same thing with your nails. Like, I could probably rip any of these off right now, but I'm not gonna, because that's how you damage your nails. But also when I check them, I'm gonna want to make sure I'm trying hard that if it is ready to go, it'll go. So it's a fine balance of not wanting to pull them off, but also checking them. And as you can see, the nails as well as the polish on them is actually starting to disintegrate. That'll happen. There we get another one, just gonna push right off. I think you get the picture here, so I'll keep speeding through. just wanted to show you this one. You can really see the glue build up here. That's definitely something that'll happen, but again, you don't want to scrape it off. Just slap on some more nail oil and pop it back in the acetone. Great, so now I'm just going to do one last little swipe of acetone or nail polish remover to get rid of any glue that's still stuck on there, and it'll be all set to go. You can see that even though my skin was looking real dry in that acetone, once I've put on all that nail oil, it really does make a difference. And on that note, of course, I'm going to add more. And then that's all there is to it. I make sure I really rub in that last little bit of nail oil, especially on the nail beds. And you can see how there aren't any torn pieces from glue being ripped off or anything like that, and the cuticles look hydrated. So I definitely find these to be really good tips for taking off those nails without any damage to your natural nail. Thank you so much for watching as always. If you found this video helpful, go ahead and give it a like. If you have any additional questions or any more tips and tricks that you use that you'd like to share, leave them in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to see my additional content, and you can follow me on Instagram as well. The link is in the bio. Thanks, bye.